couple of things have happened since the last video. Notably, the hood is off. And you're probably wondering why the car is on such a crazy angle. And there was a method to the madness. So with these cars, the motor is a slant 6, and it's on a pretty decent angle. The idea was to get the car on enough of an angle that the motor would then be flat to make it easier to put the head gasket on. And for a normal head gasket, this wouldn't usually be an issue, but because it's a cut ring head gasket I'm putting in, I'm trying to avoid having the rings shift around. So I'm probably going to leave it on this angle even though it's not flat to still try and help things out, but I'm going to go with the method of doing little dabs of super glue when the time comes to help hold the rings in place when we lower the head back on. So yeah, let's get cracking. And before we get digging too deep into this, I wanted to show you guys some more parts that showed up. Still waiting on a few more before we can fully install the head gasket just yet, but still got a couple parts. So this here, this is the Reboot Engineering idle air control valve adapter. So it's a billet aluminum piece, and I'll show you guys a bit more of how this installs and why it's better than the original piece. And got some injectors from Fuel Injector Clinic. So huge shout out to Mikey from Fuel Injector Clinic, getting these all the way across the border into Canada super quick. So these are the 60-pound option for my car. Super, super, super nice. Awesome packaging we got here. And they're just really, really nice injectors. So these will be to replace the 42 pounds I currently have in the car. They also came with these nice little adapters. These are extra, so if you are getting these for your car and you don't want to do any splicing, there's an option in the drop down to pick the adapters, so these will just be plug and play. I'm super excited to run these. And another super awesome part of buying brand new injectors from a proper injector company is the data sheet. So you get the information on each individual injector, all the specs on each one, all the data and stuff, so when it comes the time to plug it into my tune and make the changes on Megasquirt, it'll be super, super simple. No guesswork to be done there, so super excited for these. Thanks again, Mikey. This is where we left off. The only difference really is that the hood is off the car, and the reason being is because I'm going to pull the engine crane over here and have it help me lift the head, because I don't want to pull the turbo off of the manifold, or the manifold off the header. The plan is going to be pull off the upper rad hoses, pull the Vanos motor off, pull the chain, pull the cams, then pull the head. Yeah, let's get started. In hindsight, I probably should have done this before jacking the side of the car up, because I'm pretty short and have a hard time reaching things now. You win some, you lose some. I've got my 22 mil here ready to go on the front of the crank and turn this to top dead center. And once it's at top dead center, I'm also going to be locking the cams. It'll make them easier to pull out, which will make more sense when we get to that part. All right, breaker bar is not going to fit. Back with a 22 mil wrench. Let's see if this will do it. Probably wondering why I put a screwdriver in the top of the front piston here. That's because top dead center is when the first piston closest to you is at top dead center, and I was having trouble seeing the top of the piston, so what I did is just put the screwdriver here, and it's just long enough where it will, if the piston is at top dead, it'll stop it from going down. But the second piston, which is not at top dead center, it doesn't even reach, it's not even touching the top of the piston. So we do that just to confirm, and now we continue. Something that's a huge lifesaver are these dollar store freezer bags. I love these things. They cost like $1.50, I think, at the dollar store near my house. And when you're working on stuff, just bag it up, put it in its appropriate area, keep the right things together, and then you don't lose things. Learn it the hard way. Let's start pulling the Vanos off. Got myself a little Rubbermaid container down there to catch any oil, because now I'm going to remove the oil drain from the turbo, and I'm going to remove the timing chain tensioner. This tool that comes with the cam locking set makes things so much easier. So what it's for is once you loosen the exhaust cam sprocket, you then use this tool on the front, and you can twist the front sprockets so that it will allow the Vanos to get dislodged from the other sprocket. So just finish pulling that off. Ready to take the cams out now. There's a whole bunch of ways to do it, and there's apparently a special tool from the dealer. I've never seen this tool, but there's some sort of OEM tool that makes it easier. If you're not careful when you're removing the cams, you can actually crack them. They are cast, and if they shift while you're moving them, which is why they're locked now to make that easier, they can put pressure on different spots of the cam and crack it. I have many of them, so I'm not super concerned, and I've removed them quite a few times. The method that I do takes a little bit of time, but it works. What I'm going to end up doing is slowly backing off a quarter turn each nut one by one, working from the outside in, and keep doing that until all the pressure is relieved. Pull the caps off, pull the cam out. It works. There's other ways that I've seen where if you set two of the lobes to be pressured, then what you do is you can zip the rest of them off and then slowly back out those two when you're ready. And then the last option that I've seen as well is you get someone to hold the cam for you with one lobe being pressed down. Make sure they're holding it so it doesn't shift and crack the cam. And you can zip all of them off and then slowly take out the last one. I'm just gonna do what works for me. So it's a new day, and the head's almost ready to come off. Some stuff that I didn't cover in the last video is that I pulled the turbo off, got the downpipe out, pulled the dump tube off, or the screamer pipe, whatever you want to call it, and finished pulling off the rad hoses. So now all that should be left is pulling the studs out and using the crane to help pull the head off, since I'm doing it solo. So let's see how this goes. I know it's not absolutely necessary, but I do have the engine leveler on here to try and help have the head lifted as flat as I can, just to make things a little bit easier. It may twist once it actually gets lifted from the head, or from the block, but I'll try my best to keep everything under control. Put this little mat here to try and avoid having too much of the exhaust manifold scrape the shock tower. So yeah, now we're gonna give this a go and see if we have luck. Success. Bam. As you can see, the head is now off the car. So I'm gonna give it a quick clean up, spray it down with brake cleaner, degreaser, whatever I can find around the garage. Check it out, make sure everything's okay. It does look really clean and in pretty good shape. Hoping I don't have to pull the exhaust manifold off just because it's so many studs, but it is what it is if I have to. We'll have a look at the block here. So block also is in pretty good shape. Pull the head gasket off now. Boom. Crusty old stock head gasket. Wondering if it's original. Who cares? It's getting changed anyway. Boom, so now I gotta clean some stuff up and get ready for the new head gasket. I also picked up a turkey baster from the dollar store. Awesome little thing to have. I'm going to use this to get the coolant out of one of the cylinders here. It's hard to see it on camera from this angle, but cylinder 5 collected a lot of coolant when I pulled the head. And just pull it out. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today. I'm gonna continue just cleaning up the block. Got the head over here. Gonna be cleaning that a little more, but probably let the machinist finish cleaning it. He'll pull the valves out, deck the head a little bit, have that as clean as prepped as possible. And I might do an episode in between the waiting time and reinstall the coilovers back on the daily since it's getting nice out again. All right.